up? What's up? We
To
missed
the
you guys.
pod. It's been a while. It's been a hot minute.
It's been a while.
A little too
We've just
long.
been a little bit busy. We skipped a week, but
Yeah, I know.
we miss it. We do miss it.
Definitely missed it. We've been talking about doing this for a while, and we're super excited to, get back into the routine today.
Mm-hmm.
I guess our topic for today is something actually Mira and I have been talking about a bit, as it relates to adulting and, setting up your new normal and finding your voice in this very, how do I put it, like in the society that wants to mold you in the way that they want to consume, how to identify your individual voice, your individual identity, and, enjoyments, etc.
As
So
delicious as that sounds, sis.
mhm, yeah.
Tell the people how you've been. We've been absent.
You booked and busy. No. It's been good. It's been, just regular schmegular adult stuff, like work. That's basically it. How have you been?
You moved into a new building. I'm jealous.
A
A
new work
fancy
building
building. Yeah.
that is super, like, this is probably the most luxurious thing I've experienced. They have like a sparkling water dispenser.
I'm jealous. I've been jealous. I
That's crazy.
remain jealous. Yeah.
That's insane to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How you been, bro?
I'm also fine.
Mm-hmm.
It has been busy. It has been. I'm going to my first long-term work trip next week. I'm
Yeah. Okay.
super excited.
Tell us where you're going.
I'm going to the West Side,
The West
baby.
Side.
West
She's joining the dark side.
Side.
Okay.
Never been to the West Coast. I'm going to California. I'm very
Hmm.
excited. Um, Bonding time with the coworkers, which is kind of weird because we are nowhere near the same age. But also I have a presentation to give, etc., etc. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Hmm.
I'm honestly also looking forward to that, just like that downtime of like, oh my gosh, okay, let me explore LA a little bit, etc.
Correct.
So I want to think it's a vacation, even though deep down I know it's not a vacation. But I'm trying. I'm trying. No, but overall, it's been good. Honestly, it's been getting warmer. I love that. It's been chill again, family time, all of that, the good
Mhm.
stuff. A
Yeah.
lot of, but again, okay, so we're gonna get into the deep stuff, but a lot of processing. A lot of new things.
Mhm. Which we
Okay, so
love.
I'll pass it back to you. Let's talk
Which
about
we love.
the nugget that
The
we're gonna
overwhelming
share with you
question.
before we get into our movie.
Mm. So yeah, like what we said earlier, basically how to navigate and like find your own unique voice without the influence of,
Mm.
external factors, be it what you thought you wanted or what people might make you feel like you want, and then truly connecting with your true self. So marinara sauce.
Tis true.
Mm.
It's true. So
You
I'm
set
actually gonna, okay. I'll go, but anyways, I'll bounce out.
up.
I'm
Okay.
gonna set you up. But for myself, so yeah, I've been thinking about this. So, um, I've talked about this. We've talked about this, of course, before, right? So, like, our our interests, just as people. I know where most of us are in our 20s, so we haven't lived that many years, but it feels like a long time. But what we used to enjoy when we were kids, right? There's that. So running around playing soccer or dolls or drawing, etc., right? And then we become preteens and we get our phones and all that kind of stuff, and we're like, oh my gosh, texting, oh my gosh, what's my profile picture going to be, da, 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 da. And then our friend group starts shifting, and then we become actual teenagers, and then we kind of start really diving deep into what our interests are, right? So like, what did I used to do? What did we do over the weekends? What did we do after school? How social were we? Were we into sports, etc.? And then college, new era, different interests. Okay, now what am I doing with my free time? Oh my god, am I working? How many classes am I taking this semester? And then you're suddenly in real life, and you're like, Okay, so you have a different amount of free time, different, like, proportions of the day where you're working or not working. Your friends are either closer or further apart. Different cities, different locations. So all these, again, we're young, but just different phases of life.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so do I am I carrying over my hobbies from my past life, or 2 lives ago, or 3 lives ago? Do I want something new? And then, so you mentioned, like, what's normal, right? So
Hmm.
not only is there the evolution of, like, our own personal lives, but then there's like, okay, a lot of people resort to, and I'm guilty of this, a lot of people resort to, okay, what do 23-year-old people do?
Mm.
What do people in the city do?
Exactly.
What did my mom do when she was 23? Which, again, doesn't
Yeah.
make sense, but these are a lot of thoughts that we
Honestly,
have.
yeah,
What
exactly.
did my older sibling do when they were 23?
Literally. Yeah.
What do people in my building like to do? What do people in my city like to do? So it's there's a lot of vulnerability in transition phases, transition periods,
Hmm.
and so it's really easy to get influenced by external factors. So shout out to my dear friend, you'll know who you are. I was having a conversation with him this week, and I was like, I was, obviously, we got into really deep talk, and he was like, I was like, I don't know if this is something I'm just supposed to, like, is this something I'm just supposed to accept about myself, or, like, should I be normal? And then he was like, but what's normal? What are you talking about? And I was silenced because I was
It's just hard
speaking
to
so
do.
definitively. Like, I was literally talking like I knew what I was talking about. And
Mhm.
he was like, "Can you, like, fill me in? Because, like, I'm missing
Backtrack.
that." And then that, like, eventually was able to answer, but the fact that it just came to me so quickly, like, that's what should be happening, and I couldn't even, come with an answer. It hit me. And so that kind of played into, like, what we're doing, why we're talking about this right now.
Mhm.
So let me bounce it back to you, Soli.
I just want to say you gave a very beautiful answer, by the way. You heavily inspired this
You.
question, as you know. One time, Mary and I were talking, and we were talking about, okay, what do we do after work? Who are
Mm-hmm.
we once we're not working?
Mm.
And she basically was like, when I was younger, I remember when all these technologies were restricted. We weren't allowed to watch movies on weekdays, and I actually had things I enjoyed doing, like playing soccer in your case, and
Mhm.
tapping into your real, like, enjoyments and aspirations, as opposed to, like, basically being put in a box like the rest of us. And so she really triggered a very interesting journey of self discovery and, well, re identifying who we are as
Yep.
adults. So
Yeah, and then
kudos.
let me add a little bit to that.
Hmm.
So, um, I think part of, like, what led me to all of these questions and thoughts was, I, like, do my regular, like, I've been working for, like, almost, over half a year now, and I have, like, it's not like I do something completely different every day, right? Like, I kind of do have a routine, whether I like it or not, but I do have a routine. And there are times where I'd be like, I would want to treat myself, and I would do something that would technically be treating myself again in my, like, past life, or again a couple lives before that even, and I'm left completely unsatisfied, or, like, I'm like, damn, I really just wasted my time.
Mm.
And so there's, like, that's like a really, like, a symptom of, like, okay, maybe we
Yes.
need to reconfigure something. And so understand, and so, like, honestly, if, like, I come home one day and I, like, really, like, deep clean my kitchen and go to bed, like, thinking about it consciously right now, I'm like, how lame is that? But then if I'm in a position where, like, I actually end up doing it, I am in bed, I'm like, wow, what a productive afternoon,
Mm,
as
mm.
opposed to doing something like, I don't know, just doing something that I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna go to a restaurant, have a really cute time, come back. Sometimes it hits, but
Yeah.
the majority of the time, like, I this is not something I should be doing it to treat myself. And not that it's wrong
Mm.
for anybody else,
Yeah.
but I'm like, okay, treating myself, like, that idea is evolving. being productive, that idea is changing. Um, even like
Step
getting
by
work done. Sometimes like pulling an all nighter meant I'm getting things done. Now it means I'm ruining the rest of my week. And so
step.
it's just there are different. We need to redefine things. Essentially, is kind of the point that we want
Exactly.
to put across to you guys.
Yeah.
And it's okay, and you're not alone. And the answers are not going to come quick. I feel like I say that
Mhm.
every time, every episode. It's a journey. It's a journey. But okay, Soli, so I want to say, do you want to share a little bit of the new hobby you're exploring?
Oh my goodness. It ties very well. I just want to, go back and actually really say what you said is something
Okay.
a lot of people identify with, right? About like, hey, I'm doing this, but it's not satisfying. It feels like it should be, but it's not. And we just
Mm-hmm.
passively do it again and again until we feel like it's doing something to us, right? And so I think that's a very important takeaway, Mary. Very, as usual, very profound. I
Thank
expect
you. I
nothing less.
appreciate. Thank you for saying that. Thank you
Yeah.
for saying that.
But yeah, again, tying into this, actually,
Mm,
after Miri and I like constantly talk about, and this is what's great about the conversation I have with Miri again is, it's always something like you leave with something important and learning something about yourself that is
mm,
very impactful, right?
mhm,
And so actually, an interesting journey I've been on is like, as an adult, everyone's trying to maximize your fun time. I'm like,
mhm.
I just want to have an extraordinary life, but in a way that is extraordinary to me, right? It might not seem like that to other
Snap,
people.
snap, snap to that.
Exactamo. But like, when I look back, I'm gonna be like, that was great. That was amazing.
Hmm.
And so part of my journey was to get into like identifying the blockers of
Mm,
how and why I'm not getting there. And something that was really helpful is like starting therapy for me personally.
okay.
It took like it's taking a while because usually like I feel like for people like myself, for example, I'm like, yeah, I know exactly what's wrong with me, so you know what I'm saying. I'm like,
Hmm, hmm.
I don't know how this is gonna be helpful, but it's very interesting for anybody that's considering it. Like I was maybe 5 months into it before it starts. Like my therapist started to read me to filth. I was like,
Mm.
"Hold on, woman, you're doing too much." You know what I'm saying?
Wait. Yeah.
Wait. I was like, "Take a second, my goodness." But no, I'm
Yeah.
just saying in a way that's like people I think are scared of what might come out of it. Like that's something that happened to me that stopped me from doing it for the longest time. But it's never like they tell you and you're like, "Oh my god, mental breakdown." You know what I'm saying? Like that's how
Mm,
I feel like how you envision it. Although you'll come to something really close. You're like, "What? This is a part of me? I never knew that." It helps like kind of I don't know how to explain, like break down those walls bit by bit. So for example, you know, there were parts of me that like basically what's happening is like like my subconscious and conscious mind were kind of opposing forces. Like consciously I'm presenting a certain way or I think I'm a version of myself, while in reality subconsciously there are so many other factors that are contributing into my day to day. So a big thing of it is like kind of syncing them and accepting the parts that are like maybe I don't want to identify with but are present. And so kind of the result of that was me tapping into and I didn't even know this was going to be a part of it, right? Like tapping into my artistic or you know what I'm saying? Like my I don't
creative.
know. Yeah, like my
Yeah. Yeah.
little artsy side which died a very long time. Well, I wouldn't say died, but like, you know,
She was dormant.
she was dormant for the
Yeah.
longest time. And all of a sudden, while I'm doing this internal work, it's coming back and the juices are
How
flowing.
incredible!
Yeah.
How awesome! What better outcome could one hope for? You know
Honestly.
what I mean?
And
Yeah.
it's not even the active, like the active part is like, hey, the big things that you're like, maybe I'm not a great communicator or
Mm,
blah, blah,
yeah.
blah. And then all of a sudden you're like, actually, I like to paint and I like to write. And you know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? I like colors and then it just like makes it's the level of excitement that I got when I was younger, right? When I was like, oh my god, I have so much like to write and like to do, and it's only like, oh my god, like it's gonna be tomorrow and I just have so much to do, you know what I'm saying?
I love
And
that.
that just feeling the same level of excitement to come back home and be like, okay, in my space and I'm gonna do XYZ has really been motivating and like helping me look forward to things in the future that I necessarily was not even considering, you know?
We
So
support that journey, sis. We
yeah, and
support
it's for
you.
anybody out there. This was a surprise to me. I never knew, there was this side of therapy. So or self-discovery. So heavily encourage people out there to, you know, start exploring yourself on a much deeper level because it is satisfying. So
Growth. Hashtag growth.
hashtag growth. Exactly.
We love it.
So that's basically on my side, marinara sauce. So I guess the
Lovely.
question for the audience today is,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
you,
So
you
we
want to take it
want
away?
to actually, okay, credits go to, and we recommend. I've only seen a couple episodes, but I'm really enjoying it. It's called the Firsties podcast. I don't know if they're available everywhere, but I access their content through YouTube. And so it's a Habesha podcast also. So please go ahead and watch their stuff. But they asked a question, and I was like, just like shocked. Like I literally sent Soli a voice message as soon as I heard it, and it's kind of like a self-reflection question, right? And it's not something that you were gonna answer like immediately. Some people might, if it comes immediately, also reflect on that, like that. It's a question that you can think on, and is basically, if your life was a movie and you obviously have an audience watching your the movie that is your life, what would your audience be screaming at you? Like, are they going to be like, you go girl, like hopefully partially, right? But when realistically life is not all fun and games. And so, what are they yelling at you? What are they saying? What encouraging thing are they saying to you? What are they asking you to avoid? What like pattern are they hoping you break? So that it's a great question. Like I
Mhm.
really pondered on it, and we had a long discussion on it. And so we're offering that to you guys. Think about it, and we
Yeah.
hope that it invokes the same thoughts that it did for us.
Yeah, it's very fun and scary at the same time, so
Yeah.
do
Yeah,
proceed with caution.
caution. Honestly, yeah.
And then I guess with that, we can move on to our movie for today,
Quickly
Mary.
hop onto the film.
Yeah,
Wow, guys, you're in for a treat.
a big treat.
Guys, this film, so it was it solely was the one that recommended it. She heard good things from a colleague, and again, shout out to my brother. He had also watched it and was like, yes, like do it next, do it. And so it's called Encendi. But it's in English. It's like written like with an I. Incendies is how it's written in English. If you guys want to look it up, Incendies. It is quite a movie, guys.
It's
Top
insane.
three plot twists
Yeah,
films of my short
yeah.
life, but my life.
No, it's
Honestly.
crazy.
Okay. So yeah. So I'll read the movie summary. And also, guys, this is a movie that's like I recommend you guys watch it before you listen. I mean, if you're gonna go along with the ride with
Yeah.
us, definitely do. But it's just an incredible piece of like film.
Hmm.
But I'm gonna go ahead and read the movie summary, and then we'll go ahead and start unpacking it like we always do. All right. So Encendi is a powerful drama that follows the journey of two Canadian siblings, Jean and Simon, as they uncover their late mother Nawal's mysterious past. Upon her death, they are tasked with delivering two letters, one to their estranged father and the other to a brother they never knew existed. Their search takes them to Lebanon, where they gradually unravel a tragic and complex story of war, love, family secrets, and a long lasting effect of trauma. The film explores themes of identity, the cycle of violence, and the devastating impact of unresolved pasts.
Well, it's a big
Wowsies.
one. It's a big
Wowsies,
one.
yeah. So
Yeah.
just from there, I just want to start
Mhm.
by like the opening scene
Yes.
was
Yeah.
basically it was screaming the boy in the striped pajamas to me for those that have seen that movie
Mm.
before. It was a room full of young boys, I would say maybe under 10, all under 10. And their heads were being shaved. And there was like one specific kid that was being shaved, and the camera was like very slowly zooming into his face. And this kid's facial expression,
Wow.
I literally felt like I did something. I was like, I just started. And I was feeling guilty.
That was, yeah. Yeah. It was a heavy.
Incredible actor, that child. I
Yeah.
hope he's thriving right
Oscar.
now.
No, that was an
Oscar,
incredible opening. Yeah.
Oscar, yeah. So that was the opening scene. So already very like it really set the stage for like a heavy one, which it proved to be.
Yes. Um, so I guess we can move on to the next bit of the movie. So
Yes.
basically, yeah, like we mentioned, kind of the lead of this movie is Nawal, which is the mother to two twins,
Hmm.
Simone and
Jean.
Jean. So basically, what happens is Nawal passes away, and at the opening scene, you can see her twins, Simone and Jean, uh, a girl and a boy,
Hmm.
and the lawyer of the family, and also Nawal's boss. Nawal was a secretary for an attorney, if I'm not
Hmm.
mistaken.
It's like a notary, yeah.
Notary,
Attorney
yeah.
notary, yeah.
And basically, he is in the process of like, giving them the mother's will, Nawal's will.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, and so as you enter to that scene, basically what you can hear is like the daughter you can see is kind of devastated, right? She's like a bit emotional. She's like, "Oh my, like, what's happening? That's kind of crazy." Like she was just fine. And then the son is like, like now our life is gonna be easier, like kind of insinuating that she was a crazy one. You know what I'm saying? He's
Yeah,
like,
yeah. No, I
there
think
was
he
no
literally
peace
was
with
like, she's
her.
crazy. Yeah, he
Yeah,
literally
no,
said,
he literally was
yeah,
like, we never knew peace when she was
yeah.
alive.
We are like the trauma was clear just from that
Yeah,
scene. Like
yeah,
Simon, he is like what he's saying and what he's feeling are clearly different. Like
yes,
what he's saying is like I'm relieved, I'm
yeah,
at peace, da, da, da.
hmm,
But like he looks like he's about to break down. Like what
exactly.
do you mean by that? Yeah.
Yeah,
So you see the trauma there already, and then Jean seems a little more true to her feelings.
hmm,
Um, she's confused. Like it's a confusing situation because I don't know if this was clear in the summary, but they never had a brother. Like they don't believe that there's a brother, and they also believe that their father died a long time ago.
yeah.
So they're like,
So wait,
what?
let's backtrack because we didn't
Okay.
like. Okay, so basically, what the notary is doing is he's giving the will to the kids, right?
Yeah.
And so from the mother, I think there's like a short like, hey, like, or something short. I don't remember, but basically she says something general that addressing both of them, and then she gives two letters. One is addressed to a father, and one is addressed to a brother. And they're
Mhm.
like, first of all, we never knew our daddy. Who is that guy? We never knew
Mhm.
he existed. And secondly, what brother? It's just like, you know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? Very
Exactly.
confusing start to both of them.
Yeah. And so
So
they
yeah,
they just think that she's not well in the head.
yes.
And they're also like the attorney has indicated that there are more letters and things to come. Oh,
Mhm,
also she said until you deliver these letters, like bury me like
mhm,
upside down, like facing the earth,
mhm.
no gravestone, etc. Like really unpleasant.
Yeah.
conditions to be buried. And she was like, until you satisfy these things, there are also more envelopes waiting, but do that first. And they were like, where on earth are we going to start? This is bogus to begin with.
Yeah.
And so that's why the brother was like, I'm done. I'm burying her the way I want, and I'm done. And then, but
Yeah.
the sister was like, let's
Let's do this.
follow
This
this.
is her
Yeah,
dying wish.
exactly,
It literally was, yeah.
exactly.
And the thing is, they also knew nothing about the mother's past. She
True.
didn't tell them anything. So this is set in Canada. The mother is originally from Lebanon,
Hmm.
of Lebanese descent, and
Hmm.
now these kids are somewhere in French Canada.
Hmm.
And so they're like, what, what history? They never knew that version of their mother. So it's kind of like okay, let's get to know her, but also solve this riddle at the same time.
Yeah, and I think
So yeah.
before we move on,
Mhm.
to Jean beginning that journey,
Mhm.
the way that we do see the way Noel dies at the
Yeah.
start. And so, and it also, as an audience member, I was like, oh, so she is crazy.
Yeah.
Because the way that she died was essentially Jean and her mother, Nawal, were at a swimming pool in Canada. And
Mhm.
there's obviously like older Nawal, like her, like the prosthetics are there. And Nawal's in her bathing suit. She's sitting by on the pool chairs, and John is doing her laps. And then she comes out of the pool, and her mom is like frozen,
Quite
and like
literally.
she's like she had a stroke. Like she's sitting up, she's staring, but she's gone.
That's literally it. Like she's
And
just
I
like
was
there
like,
but not there.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
giving there's something wrong with her,
Exactly. Yeah.
essentially. Yeah,
You're like, absolutely. Like, why is she
yeah,
surprised? You know what I'm saying?
exactly.
And Jean was like, Mom, Mom. I'm like, girl, that's,
Yeah, she
you
was
know what
like,
I'm saying?
mama, 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 and
Yeah.
she's like,
Hmm.
she was not there. She was
She was
gone.
not responding. Yeah.
Exactly. And so, and now I think we can move on to Jean's journey.
Okay. So basically, Simone, the rebel that he is, was like, I don't care. I'm not gonna do this. So each of them were assigned. I think Jean was assigned to find her father, like the
Yes,
father, and
yes,
then Simone was assigned to find the brother. Kind of split
true.
between the two.
It is true.
And so Jean makes way to Lebanon. Simone was like, I don't care. It's,
Yeah,
I don't identify with the mother. Like,
drama.
she's,
Yeah,
yeah, she's gone, and so are my memories or whatever with her.
yeah.
So he's taking it very, very hard.
Hmm.
And then, yeah, so Jean goes to Lebanon, and then basically kind of, the audience is transported to Nawal's life, right? And so the first clip we see is Nawal running with this man, like very clearly trying to kind of stay hidden or undercover from people. Okay, they're just looking to their left, to their right, checking if anybody saw them, and they're running as though they're escaping from something. And then I feel like just as they were about to escape the territory, like, uh, Nawal's brother, as we find out later, catches her and her then boyfriend, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Um,
So yeah, this was
yeah.
in in her childhood village, right? So we're going back to the past
Yes.
in Lebanon, and this man. Okay, so for some context, there was a actually I don't know the number of years, but a quite long conflict, multi-year long conflict between Christians and Muslims at the time,
Hmm.
and in Lebanon, right? So,
As is
but
currently the case worldwide, unfortunately.
what did you say? I
As is
didn't.
the case worldwide currently.
Yeah, no, but this was like literally
Yeah.
like killing each other. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm.
And so the this boyfriend of hers, I think his name was Walid, was an quote unquote migrant, right?
Mm.
And so she's like not supposed to be with him, period. First of all, because he's a migrant, and second of all, she's not married. And so this is like I want to say 50s, 60s, something like that.
Mm.
50s or 60s. So double whammy, right? So like she's not supposed to be with him. And again, like we said, they're like, trying to evade, their way out of there.
Mhm.
Her first brother catches her. He calls his second brother, so Noel's two brothers, and then tell them what happened, bro.
Well, they showed no mercy. They basically pulled out a gun and they pulled the trigger and killed Walid right in front of Nawal.
Boom.
Boom. They're like, and they were about to kill her too. They were like, "You
Yeah.
dishonored us." So, okay, my question is, I think like migrant, as in he's Muslim, because okay, so Nawal's
Yes.
entire family is Christian.
Yes. Oh, that's so important. Yeah,
Yeah,
we forgot to
yeah,
do that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
He is Muslim.
yeah.
And again, at this time, by the way, it Loki still happens.
Mm, yeah.
Like I forgot what the term was, but mercy killings, I think is what it's called.
Okay.
If the if the woman, I'm not saying it still happens in Lebanon. I
Mm,
don't, but in general, I know it still happens. Mercy killings is essentially, um, if a woman disrespects the family, dead. They kill her, and
mm,
sometimes it doesn't even it doesn't even hold up in court. Sometimes,
that's crazy.
yeah, they will kill her, as if that's like less
Justified.
merciful. I don't know,
Oh my
I don't know, but
goodness.
it's definitely a thing that happens. And so they were literally about to kill, like the brothers were like, no, it's my responsibility.
Yeah.
No, I'm the older one. Da, 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 da. And
Yeah.
eventually, and they were fully about to kill her. And then thankfully, their grandmother, who is raising them, comes out from the house and is like, hey guys, come in. Da, da. And that she would have been dead.
No,
The movie would have
what
ended.
really got me is like the way she interrupted, like it was a normal Tuesday. She was like, "Guys, come in,
Yeah,
come on,
I
quickly."
think I think what they were trying to indicate was that she didn't know they were about to kill her. I don't know,
Okay,
because there
okay,
was a bit of a distance. I'm not really
maybe.
sure.
Okay,
I
I
don't
literally
think
thought
I
she
like
was
to think
like
so.
being
No, I'd
passive.
like to think so.
Okay, it was an interesting scene. Anywho's,
It was.
um, so basically Nawal goes into the house with the grandma, and the grandma is like giving her a heart. She was like, "You dishonored us. How dare you? You know, you're about to run with this guy who's not of the same religion." Like, just
Again,
going
and
on.
unmarried.
Yes, unmarried, by
Yeah.
the way. Yeah. And Nawal's like, her man just died.
Her love, bro. Her
They
first
just shot him
love.
in front of her. Insane. And she's crying, and the grandma's like, "You dishonored me." And Nawal just, she takes a second and she's like, "I'm pregnant." And the grandma's like, "Oh my
The
goodness."
girl, literally, she was like, "There's darkness everywhere. There's darkness everywhere." I was like, "This can't be more
Literally.
epic, bro."
That's, first of all, I think that kind of signified how intense like
It was
the
very
rivalry
intense.
was amongst like the Christians. And it's,
Hmm.
for me, I didn't know this was going in Lebanon personally. I wasn't just cultured enough to know. Um and I didn't know, I mean, maybe I was just being ignorant. I didn't know there was a big Christian population within the Arab community, if that makes sense. Like,
I didn't know until this movie.
okay,
Like my dad needed to break it down for me.
okay.
I didn't even know there was a
Yeah.
war like that.
Exactly. I was
Yeah,
like,
I did
this
not
is
know.
new
So
to me.
this movie made me more aware for sure.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, I didn't know, and since I don't know, I just, it was very deep, and the like resistance towards each other was just very unsettling, if that makes sense.
Seriously. And I think like
Yeah,
we will definitely get to this a little later, but since we're on the
yeah.
topic of learning new things,
Mhm.
as a Christian living in the, post 9/11 world,
Yeah,
I just never, because in the war, I mean, both parties are usually, I mean,
yeah,
we can go on a war by war
yeah,
basis, right?
yeah.
But again, as a Christian, it's not, again, and in this day and age, I don't really, it doesn't compute that Christians would be that um lethal, honestly,
Mm,
and
mhm.
that, like, in the name of Christianity,
Yeah.
again, very narrow minded, I guess, like, not just not exposed to this kind of stuff. I was like, this is a full militia, like it
Yeah.
was like so gruesome. And again, the fact that Noah, our main character, is Christian, and we saw the how gruesome it was from both sides.
Yeah.
I also did appreciate about the movie.
Yes.
It was quite eye opening, especially for
It
people
was.
our age. I think it was very eye opening.
Yeah. I think it
Yeah,
was, yeah, for because like for as long as I can personally remember, the narrative is always blaming the Muslims. For some reason, obviously, as we know,
it
the
is
media
true.
loves blaming. You're like violence, etc. You're like, what about the Christians? Do you see that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think the general issue is that like no religion preaches war. Like no religion wants, inhuman. Like you know what I'm saying? No religion preaches evil, obviously,
Mm, mm.
but again, the media only wants to control a specific narrative, and that's just like unfortunate. But it was just very. You're like, what is going on? You know what I'm saying? It's
It
I
was
think it
it
was
was
very
very eye
interesting.
opening. It really
Very
was
eye
eye opening.
opening.
Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, the grandmother, she basically kind of gives in. At the end of the day, she's a grandma. So she's like, she hugs Nawal. She's like, "You're not gonna leave. You're gonna have the child, and we're gonna give it away, right,
Yeah,
or something."
he'd go to an orphanage because
Yeah.
they would rather kill her than everybody know that Nawal of her, lineage actually like it was they would she's gonna disgrace her whole family. So her
Hmm.
grandmother told her have the kid, and then the kid will go to an orphanage, and then she was like I'm gonna send you to your uncle. You have to go get an education, which
Yes.
I was taken aback
Yeah,
by,
I was like,
and I loved that.
"Oh,
I
you
was
go,
like,
girl."
literally, she was like, have your kid and then leave. She was like, it's gonna
Yeah,
be hard, but you gotta go.
correct.
And so she had her child. It was a really, tough time because
That was actually, by
I
the way,
mean,
a
there's
very intense.
the impending giving away of your child, plus the murder of her first love, plus she's being ejected from her hometown.
Yeah.
It's a lot. That was a heavy 9 months. Even
I mean, even
just
like,
pregnancy in general, it's a heavy 9 months.
the scene where she's giving birth, like the the sound she's making, she's like
Hmm.
going through it. Obviously, there's no medication she's taking. This is a natural
Mm.
birth. And then she didn't even have skin to skin with the baby. She's like, my God, my boy that she had with the love of her life that they kill in front
Mm.
of her, and then they took him. You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? He was just gone.
Mhm.
And she's devastated, like,
Important note:
mm,
this grandmother, like, because he's like born straight out of the birth canal.
yeah,
Less than a minute later, she um she tattoos this child.
a traditional
What
tattoo.
Yes, what she does is it's again, yeah, like, so it's a traditional tattoo. So she like literally pierces him with a needle, but it's a simple tattoo on his right heel. She tattooed three dots aligned in like a vertical line. And so, he's like the baby's crying and freaking out,
Yeah.
but like, yeah, he's only discovering his senses, whatever, I
Hmm.
guess. But she tattoos him.
Yeah.
Why? I don't think we
No,
really know.
she says it. She's like, so you can, you know who your baby is or something, so you can
Seriously?
easily identify him.
Okay,
She
okay,
does verbalize. She was like, just so you know, this is your baby.
that's good. I love
Yeah.
that. That's
Yeah. But
she
the
ate with
grandma
that.
was being kind of nice. Yeah.
She ate with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um.
So yeah.
So Noelle packs her things and goes to the city to get an education. But as she's leaving, she's like, "I'm coming back for you, my son.
Mhm.
I'm coming back for you." And then she left, obviously, with a broken heart.
Mm.
Can
Um.
I pause for a second and say,
Yeah.
how beautiful is that town?
It is very gorgeous. It
Wow,
is. It is very
it is
beautiful.
such an incredible landscape.
Yeah. It really is. Yeah.
I was
I
in
was
awe.
surprised. I was like, I don't know it was
I was
like
in
this.
awe. I was like,
Yeah.
this is so beautiful.
It's really pretty.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of like, so we do bounce back between Nawal's childhood or her past in Lebanon and John in the present time going in and trying to discover what happened. And I love the parallels between, by the way, the guy that directed this movie is the director of Dune. And so
Mm.
he's good. I don't watch Dune, never seen Dune.
No way!
Never.
Oh, you're
I
gonna love it.
support his work. Yeah. But so yeah, so like the back and forth between the past and the present, I noticed how like the roads are this like the roads are the same, the landscape is the same, everything is the same except it would be like a fancier bus and like a different
Mm,
demographic on the bus and stuff
mm,
like. So I really love that whole like, okay, this is like, decades, the difference is a matter of decades, but
yeah,
the constants are still there. You know what I mean? I really loved that. It
that
was
is
so
so
clear.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, very interessante. You're so
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Not up to this director.
Oh, I know.
We wish to
Um,
Timothy Chalamalabing Bonga chance.
my goodness, that could be one of our next movies to review
No,
when
too
part two is
soon.
released.
Too soon. Part two
Mm.
is released, bro.
Well, I mean,
Part
Dune,
two.
like the new Dune,
There's Dune 1 and Dune 2 right now.
and then Dune 3.
Yeah, I guess there's gonna be a third one.
Yeah, I thought it
My
was
answer is
Dune
no.
part one, part two, and then Dune. Anywho's, sorry, it's been a second.
I honestly don't know. I shouldn't be commenting. I
Yeah,
don't know.
actually, fun fact, when I was watching the second part, the plane I was in had the craziest turbulence, and I'm still like traumatized by that. So Dune was not
So
necessarily the best
let's just
memory.
scrap Dune then.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So so basically going back to Nawal, yeah, she goes back to her uncle's uh, household. She
Mhm.
starts college and she joins this journalism club where she's very vocal about the Christian propaganda against like the Muslim community and
Mhm.
how just harsh they're being. And I think she's saying what's happening is unfair, it's extreme, and like some we should stop this. This is not right. Nobody should ever support this.
Mhm.
So yeah, that kind of happens, and then I think the militia, like you said, they kind of invaded that town, and everyone.
They took over the university campus.
Yes, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And
Um,
I think Nawal's uncle was a big part of the propaganda. Like I think he's very pro Christians. If I'm wrong, I don't know.
you know, it's possible. I think what my takeaway was that he was just like, "Don't leave. Like, where are you going?
Oh, okay,
Like,
okay,
stay here." But honestly, I just might not have caught that. It was a really
okay.
complicated movie. Maybe I just didn't
Yeah.
catch it.
Anywho's,
Yeah.
it's not even
But
that relevant.
let's go back to Jean being in Lebanon.
Okay. Yeah.
So she arrives, and then again, there are these really beautiful parallels between where Noel was, and then back to Jean, etc. And so there was a lot of that. Um, so she arrives, and then she goes to this childhood village. She does actually stand outside, where she gave birth to her first child,
Yeah.
and then
What's funny?
nothing. And then she meets some of the people that actually knew her, and then she starts again. So the at least the characters that we met, it actually might be including her uncle, to be honest, to be fair, but especially the people of her village specifically, um, were on the clearly on the Christian side.
Yeah.
And the fact that they knew what she did, her involvement in the Civil War, that she was like
I
pro
think
immigration, pro. Am I skipping forward too much?
a
Or
little bit, I think, but I think it's fine.
I'll stop at the end of the
Yeah.
sentiment here.
Yeah.
So she did essentially disgrace her family, her village,
Yeah.
because she was pro immigration, she was pro equality, all of these things.
Mhm.
So okay, I think I understand where I might have gone too
Mm, mm, mm.
far. All right, where should we go next?
Um, so yeah, basically, while the militia's kind of taking control of that town, she's scared because she's like, oh my god, like my son, the orphanage, like what's happening? Is that still stable? And so Miss Nawal is like, I don't care what's gonna happen. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna find my son. It's been long overdue. You know what I'm saying? Like, let me go find, my one and only son. And so, hence, the journey begins. And what happens? She hops on a plane to wherever town she was from.
On a
uh,
bus slash long walks, so stretch of walk. Yeah, yeah.
exactly.
Walking bus,
Yeah,
hitchhiking, walking
correct.
bus.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then when she makes way to her town, so basically, you have to answer to these officers before kind of like crossing this border
Hmm.
to enter the town. And it's so funny because people are actively trying to leave, like they're almost
Yes.
fighting with the
Yeah,
guys,
she's
and she's
going
the
to the
only person
south.
entering. Yeah.
Yes.
And she's just so like she even makes up a whole story. They're like, "Why are you coming here?" She's like, "To reunite with my husband." And they're
Mm.
like, "Okay, you can pass." And so, anywho, she goes to the orphanage, finds out it became like a girls' orphanage. And she's like, "Where are the boys?" And they're like, "They got sent to like this other area." And she's like, "Oh my goodness."
Yeah, she said like their campus was attacked.
Yes,
The
yes.
orphanage was attacked,
Hmm.
and I want to say, does she know that some were captured at that point? I think we do.
I think she was
Like they were
like,
attacked, and she
yeah.
was like the many are dead, and the ones that aren't dead were captured. Yes,
Mm. And
that's
then
true.
I think,
And then
yeah, and
she
then she
goes.
was
She
like,
still goes
yeah, yeah.
because she might find his body. You know.
But as she's going, she sees a bus, and then she identifies that it's filled with Muslim people in
Okay.
the bus. And so as soon as she notices that, she takes out her headscarf, ties it like a little makeshift hijab, and then she's like, "Can are you going here?" And they're like, "Yeah." She's like, "Can I join?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure." So this part is very I remember it vividly because that's when it solidified how crazy it was.
Yes.
And so they're on the bus, and they're
And I just want
sleeping.
to say it was so obvious that she was a Muslim because like she was
Mm,
wearing pants and menamin, and
yeah,
the Muslim women at the time were not wearing that.
yeah, yeah. They
So
kind of
I
looked
don't
at
know,
her
and she took
sideways.
off her cross also
She did,
from
yeah,
her neck,
yeah,
and then so I was like, I don't understand why they're letting her in, but
yeah.
they did let her in.
They did.
Yes, continue.
She kind of looked at her. She's like, "I'm going this way." Like the bus driver kind of just like looked at her, and
Yeah,
she was like, "Can I come in?" And I don't think he even said anything out
he
loud.
didn't.
He just let her get
He
in.
said nothing, but he
Yeah,
let her in. Yeah.
and but she just got in. Yeah. So, anyways, they're on the journey, and then after a second, like I think people were sleeping, and they wake up, and the driver's just arguing with these like
They're
military.
stopped.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
they're
bus
stopped.
stop.
Yeah,
Yeah, and these guys dressed in like soldier uniforms. I don't know if they actually are soldiers.
they were like in black,
Oh,
and
was it
like
black?
their faces were wrapped though. Also, yeah.
Oh, okay. Anywho's, he's kind of like, I'm just
But it was the
going here.
government. It was the Christian people. Yeah.
Yeah. And he was just like, I'm just going here. Like, you know what I'm saying? He's like, I'm not doing anything crazy. I'm just going. I have all these people, and he's speaking in Arabic. And it's just like, it's kind of getting more intense. There are like 5 people surrounding him, and they have these like straight up rifles. You know what I'm saying?
All of
And
them.
I'm nervous. People on the bus are just kind of
There
like,
are
what?
children
There are children,
on this bus.
mothers,
Yeah.
daughters, uncles, fathers, whatever. And there's just like, oh, what's happening? You know what I'm saying? They're trying not to freak out. They're just looking, and the guy is just like, he's like, what are you telling me to do? Like, I have all these people to take. What do you want me to do? And as he's saying, shots. They shot him from the back. I'm like, what's? Oh my god, who's gonna drive them? They start shooting into the bus. Jesus Christ. And so basically, wow, that was too much.
It's true. No, it was really heavy.
Like, okay,
Like
initially I
con-
didn't understand why they were shooting. If I'm being honest, I did not get why. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like, what is? just anywho, it was just like happening so fast. And then basically out of the people that died, there were only Nawal and then this other lady with her daughter kind of survived. And they're trying to look up to see if the people left.
Wait, let's just take in the moment though. Like
Yeah.
Noelle was like she like looked up,
Yeah.
and you're in a bus full of dead people, freshly shot from the outside, and you're like, I wasn't even like these people did me a kindness and let me travel with them,
Yeah.
and you're just like, what the heck is going on?
Bro.
The complete and utter shock, and they're like silent. They're like, are we gonna escape? Are we
Yeah.
silent? Like they didn't say a word.
Nothing.
But it was, I mean, I can't, it should be clear how heavy that moment
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
Just no warning, pop, 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 a bunch of people just letting it go. And then these people start hopping on the bus, these people that were shooting at the bus, and then they start pouring gasoline all over the bus.
Wow.
Through my heart, I was like, no,
And you know what's crazy is like I think they
no.
saw that Nawal and the other lady and her daughter were like alive. Like they can see that they're moving inside the
You think
bus,
so?
right? I think they definitely saw them. They were just like, we're gonna burn it anyway. You're not gonna survive. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think
Because
that.
like so basically, as they're pouring the gasoline,
They
Nawal
make eye
and the
contact.
other lady and the daughter
Mm.
they run to the front of the bus. Like they're just sitting there, and
After they're poured though.
the gasoline, yeah. But like the
Yeah,
people
after
didn't
they
even,
poured.
yeah. But the
Yeah.
people didn't even try to shoot. They were like, you're gonna, we're not even gonna bother because we're gonna set you on fire.
Yeah,
And
I don't think that they knew, but I don't think it mattered.
exactly, it
Like
didn't matter.
they said no
But I think
survivors.
they did notice them. I think they saw them because it was like face to face. You know what I'm
It's
saying?
possible. It's super
Yeah,
possible. It's, yeah, like
yeah,
it doesn't really matter because
yeah.
they would want all the people
To
deceased.
exactly.
And
Um,
so
yeah.
you can go ahead.
Oh my god, bro, that scene.
That was the first big one. Even
Exactly.
Hijam, by the way, I called him Walid. His name is not Walid. It's
Oh, it's not
um
Wahab or something.
Wahad, I think.
Wahab.
Wahab is his name.
Wahab. Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
and
that's the
so
lover.
yes, her first lover. So I made a mistake there. But so basically, yeah, no, when Wahab died, that was a big shock. But
Mm,
the real first like OMG moment was this scene.
the scene, yeah.
And so essentially when they are out of their shock, I'm assuming, Noel and then the woman and her daughter, they run to the front of the bus. And then Noelle reaches into her pocket and then pulls out her cross that was around her neck. And then she says, "I'm Christian. I'm Christian." And I was like, I'm shocked they even let her go. Like, but then when I thought about it, I was like, okay. Also, because nowadays in this day and age, you wouldn't know if someone is
Mm,
Muslim or not just by physically looking at
yeah.
them. Like Arab, not Arab. It's hard. You wouldn't know.
Mm,
So, but I think at that time it was very clear just
mm.
by the way that they dress and all that kind of stuff.
That's fair, yeah.
So, because at first I was like, I could just have a cross in my pocket. I don't, you know what I
Literally,
mean?
that's
But I
what I'm
think it was
saying.
clear
Yeah,
at
yeah.
that time, yeah. And so they let Noel leave the bus, and then I think it was clear that they weren't going to let the lady go. But then the woman and her child were obviously very attached, right? And her daughter. And
Mhm.
then the Noelle rips the daughter out of the mom's hand, and she says, "This is my daughter too. Save my daughter too." And obviously she's just trying to save the kid because she knows that the mom is not gonna get out of
Mhm.
this one. So she tried. The kid is struggling. She's like,
Oh, wait, I just want to
"No,
pause here for a sec.
mom." Okay.
Oh my god, bro. The look of understanding, like I don't like the understanding that the mother knows she's gonna die,
Yes.
and Nawal knows that they're gonna die, and she's like, "Let me save your daughter. Like I know I can't save both of you, but let me take your daughter." And the mother is like hugging her daughter for the last time, and she clearly is so sad. And the soldiers kind of also know that the daughter is not Nawal's, but they're just letting it happen, kind of. And the mom's just like kind of holding on to her, but she's also giving it, like giving. She's like, "Please save her." Like the communication, just by
The
the exchange
communication,
of looks.
women to women. You know, I'm glad you made me stop there
Mm,
because Noel taking this child
yeah.
also means she was planning on raising her.
Yeah, exactly. As her own.
That's what I'm saying. It's not like she was gonna drop her off at the next bus stop. She was
Literally.
planning on raising this child. Like Noelle is an incredible woman. Like she was feeling
Yeah.
like I'll I'll take her. I'll be her
Yeah.
mom. I'll be her new mom. Just like that. No communicate. No talk before that.
Yeah.
But then
Goosebumps. Goosebumps. Yeah.
it gets worse, y'all. So she the little girl's struggling. It's kind of clear that that Noel's not her mother,
Hmm.
and eventually, Noel makes it like a a good distance away from the bus, and then when she puts the girl down, the little girl, maximum 4 years old, in my
Oh,
opinion.
by the way, they set the bus on fire at this point. Like as soon as the law and the
No,
girl left,
no, no,
they
no,
set it
no,
on
no.
fire. No,
No,
they
it
did.
was after they killed the girl.
No, 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 no. They set it on fire, and the girl's like, "Mom, mom, mom!" And as she's running towards the fire, they shot the
That's
little
worse.
girl. And guys, let me tell you, the shot of that scene where Noelle is defeated. She just she turns around, the girl's running, they shoot her, the mom's on fire, and she's just
Wait,
on
let's
her knees.
rewind. So they ignite the bus by shooting it, and then the
Mhm.
whole bus is on fire, and
Yeah,
it's like red fire, guys. It's like
yeah, yeah.
red.
Burn, yeah.
It's red, and the smoke that's coming out of it's black. I don't know how they were able to create that black smoke, and then the fact that this little girl is running towards a burning bus.
But yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
No, that's what's she's like I think the fact that it was burning made her she was like, "Oh my god," you know what I'm saying? My mother is burning. Like she's freaking out.
Jeez.
And as soon as she's right, pow, from her back.
They
My
shot the
goodness.
little girl in the back of the head.
And Noelle's just like on her knees and she's just staring into the distance. She's like, "What has this world turned into? What is
Very
happening?"
pivotal moment, guys.
It was
Very pivotal
crazy.
moment
And
in
then
Noel's
again,
life
that's what made
and
I
in
was
my
like,
life, honestly. Huh?
if people want to be evil, it doesn't matter what religion they are. Honestly, they will find a way, and they'll make religion an excuse to be violent
Mm,
towards each other. This has nothing
period.
to do with religion like that. Honestly,
Period. Period.
it's just an excuse to be violent.
It's
For
cleansing,
sure.
cleansing,
Yeah,
ethnic cleansing. Baka. My people are better than your people.
literally, literally, with religion as an excuse. Anywho's,
What a shot.
that
Oscar
was
winning
crazy.
shot. And then essentially, I don't even know where the soldiers went or whatever, the militia, whatever we were labeling them as.
Mm.
But it was just a shot of Noelle on her knees, looking back at the bus. Red flames. Maybe that's Encendi.
Doesn't on Sunday mean incidents?
No.
That damn. I mean, I don't know
It means
French
like
like that.
it means blazes. It means like fires.
No
It actually
way.
just hit me.
That's crazy.
Because guys, that was the it changed the course of her life.
It
It
really
changed
changed her
everything.
brain chemistry. Yeah, it really did.
I think that's what it is. I'm kind of ashamed that it just hit me right
Yeah,
now. But
Mary, that's crazy. I'm
no,
kidding.
it's actually kind of crazy. It's actually kind of crazy. But on Sunday, yeah, that
Mhm.
changed everything, and it will make sense as we keep it pushing. So
Wow.
let's stay with Noel's thing, right? Before we go to the Lebanon
Hmm.
thing with Antenna, with Jean.
John.
Okay, so as we said, big shift in Noah's life right now. So now she has the love of her life dead, killed by her brother, and her son taken away from her, and she just witnessed that the burning of the whole bus full of Muslims, right? She's like, that'll do it for me.
Hmm.
She goes straight to the rebel leader being the head of like the Muslims at the
Hmm.
time, and she's like, I am your humble servant. she like had to prove that, like she was like, this happened to me, and I
Oh wait, no, no, no. I think so. Before then, she
uh,
goes to she makes way to where she might have thought that her son was, like, where he might have potentially been, and some random guy was like, "Oh yeah, they killed all the kids." He's like, "No kid was left. They killed all of them that were sent from the orphanage. They're dead."
tis true.
Yes, and then she was like, "Huh." Like, she was like defeated. She went and she was like, "This little game that you're playing, me, I don't support. I do not identify with any kind of movement that the Christians are doing. Actually, I am heavily against it. So let me be part of something big and meaningful." She was like, "Anything that I thought had meaning in my entire life, I started second guessing. Like it stopped making sense to me. I don't know what's true. I don't know what's false. I just know that whatever's happening is not right." So that was her little, villain origin story.
It is
Um,
true.
yes. And so, do you want to take us through the next part
Yeah,
of
so
Mary?
villain origin story. I like that's a good
Mhm.
one. So, can you hear me okay?
Yes,
Okay.
actually, much better than earlier.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So um where okay, so she goes to this rebel leader and she's like, I am your humble servant. Let's do something about this. And so, oh, we also didn't say that. Well, she was in university. When she was living with her uncle, she studied French. So that's where she
Yes.
learned French.
Yes.
And I think languages in general. So I hope I'm not skipping anything, but
I think
essentially,
this is it. Yeah.
she managed. So she kind of switched up her physical look, like she cut her hair and all that. She looks very professional. She was hired as a language tutor for the child of the head of the Christian government.
Yeah, the movement head or whatever he is. Yeah.
Yes. And so she very patiently tutored this child for a certain amount of time, built the trust and all that kind of stuff. And then it was very CIA-esque. Like they sent her
Mhm.
like a message and they were like, today's the day or something like that.
Or like,
And
is your
then
aunt
so
okay or something? Or
yeah, it
something
was
like that,
like
cryptic.
yeah,
Yeah.
some kind of like mysterious code. But like,
Yeah.
as audience members, I was like, oh my gosh, something's gonna happen. Like we don't know
Yeah.
what, but like something is gonna happen and I'm scared.
Mhm.
Because we're pro Noel right now, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm like, I want you to be good, but you're clearly about to do something crazy.
Yeah.
So essentially, I don't remember where she got a gun from. Where did she get the gun from?
I think that's what they handled her in her little oh, I think she had it, and once they called her and they're like, "Hey, blah blah blah," like the cryptic message, she opened like a
Yeah.
her closet and she just like it was kind of, I don't know, like wrapped in this blanket, and then she put it in her work bag, went to work. She was tutoring the kid,
Yep.
talking to him. She was like, "Stay here for a second." Opened her work bag, grabbed the little, blanket thing, walked towards the guy, the leader, and she's unraveling the little blanket. There's a gun. She sees him. She, places it in
He's
front of him.
having brunch.
Period.
He was having
Yeah.
brunch with his buddies.
Was like her. Pow. She killed the leader. She killed him. She's like, "Yep, I did that."
And
He's
you think
like,
she tried to run? She wasn't
"Yep."
running. She
She
was
was, she was
like,
just like, "Yep, I
take
did
me.
that." Yeah.
I
They
did
were
my
beating
part.
her up. They were the thing that's very interesting to me is like she could have been killed again up until this point multiple times for various reasons, but
Yes.
somehow she wasn't.
The things that this woman has survived
My goodness. Yeah, that was crazy.
after she survives, she still goes into hard things.
Yeah.
She survives something. You think you would like be
Wow.
like, okay, I think I'm good. Let me go live in. No, another hard thing, another difficult thing, another difficult thing. What a resilient woman.
And it's so interesting because her kids basically no one in her present life or at any time after she had her
Oh,
kids knows about this version of her. They just think
nobody,
she's probably this
nobody
crazy lady.
knows me like you.
Okay, Mary. No, like nobody knows this version of her. So again, I think going back to Jean, when like Mary mentioned earlier, when she goes to this little village and the people are like, no one of Jean's family is like, oh, well, sorry, Nawal's family is welcome here, and they were like, we have nothing to say
Switch
about
up
her.
for me though. On that, it's a switch up. Like first, it was like,
Yeah,
"Oh my gosh, come in, sit
yeah,
down."
you're from
She was like, "You know,
Canada,
I only
huh?
speak English or French." They went, they got
Yeah.
a translator for her. You know, very cute little tea coffee
Hmm.
ceremony. And then the woman and the translator was also a young girl, so she doesn't really know the past like that. So she was like, "Yeah, she's Noelle's daughter, and she's looking for da, 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 da." The
The
energy
ladies,
shifted quickly.
wow. They were like, we don't know her. Who is she?
They
And
don't
one of the
know.
ladies, she was like, "What are you doing here? Why are you looking for her? Leave right now! You're disgracing us by being here, etc."
Indeed.
And Jean is just like, "What is going on here?"
Yeah, that was I think her first indication of like maybe this is bigger than I thought.
You know what's so interesting that just occurred to me
Mm.
when Nawal passed away. One of the things that she gave to Jean is the cross, like the cross that she's been wearing her entire life. Like if you notice, Jean was wearing it. I think she gave it to her.
Okay.
But it's interesting because literally after the incident we just mentioned, like Jean Nawal's perspective of religion or whatever was like, at least to my understanding, was heavily impacted. You know what I'm saying?
Mm. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think again, I don't know if we're over glorifying our main character here, but I
Mm.
really think as incredible as that woman is, I also think she's intelligent enough to understand that I don't think she was pro Muslim, by the way. I think she
Yeah,
was
I think
pro
humanity.
equality,
Yes,
pro
yes,
humanity.
yes,
And
correct.
so I don't think that it necessarily shook her faith.
That is very true, but I find it hard when you witness such things
Mm.
and your faith still remains, the same, right? I'm not saying like that is obviously the most logical response to it, but it's like just
Yeah.
witnessing a fraction of what that character went through.
Yeah.
I don't know personally if my faith would, like, it would be shaken a bit. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anywho's, I just
From my viewing experience,
yeah.
it did not impact the way she saw
Mm,
Christianity. I think but she
mm,
was very anti those factions, like
correct.
the government leaders and things like that. Yeah,
Mm.
from my understanding.
Yeah,
Yeah, unless I
yeah,
missed
yeah. No,
something.
that makes absolute sense.
And
Yeah,
the fact that she passed on her cross, I
her
think, is
cross.
also a meaningful thing. Yeah, but I
Yeah.
think for Jean, that was a really critical point of like being
Mm.
like not
Who is?
welcome.
Yeah,
Because,
like who's my
in
mom?
her life in Canada, she was a secretary for like 30 years.
Yeah. Oh
Same
look.
job, same boss, same place, 30 years. And now it's like, oh my gosh, she's not welcome here. Like, what? Like,
Mm.
everything's
Yeah.
unraveling, you know what I mean? And so I think
Yeah.
that it was a critical thing for John.
100%. Oh wow. Okay. So basically, what happens is Jean is just like on a quest of like, why is my mother not welcome or not well received by the community she grew up in, basically. And so she's asking around town, and I think someone kind of directs her to this school, maybe that her mother. No. So she here. So basically, what happens is after Nawal shoots the leader, she's sent to this like very like you know insane like federal prison or something. So it's like where all of the what's it called? What's the term again? Sorry. Free thought.
Rebels?
Like what's the highest form of prison? Like there's a term for it.
Maximum
Security
Milani?
prison, maximum security prison. Okay, anyways, that's where Nawal is. So she's regarded
Yeah,
as a
like
very
lame, very not unpleasant place. Like very,
Yeah,
very small cell.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's for like the criminals, the like really serious ones. Anywho, she goes there, and people like Noelle. I think she's been there for like 12 years. How long was she in there for? For a very
15.
long time. 15 years.
15, yeah.
That's a long time.
1-5.
Yeah, 1-5. Yeah.
Yeah.
And basically, I who's telling the story to? Oh, okay. So I think
It
Jean.
was
I don't
the
know
it was the janitor, right?
who told her to push the giant. Like who told her to go find him. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm trying
Oh,
to
okay,
remember.
no, no. First, I mean, it was like this is a really long journey. I think we skipped some things. Like first,
Yeah.
it was from her headshot that she realized that so Jean before leaving she went through her mom's stuff like all her drawers and stuff and
Yeah.
she finds this little passport picture size headshot of her mother but she
Mhm.
looked different like distressed not
Yeah.
not her normal self and so she went to the university where she learned language French and English French and English and
Mhm.
then they saw on the thing that like the writing in the background is from a prison in the south
Mhm.
and so she went down there and then she was I think she was just told that that guy used to
Worked
work at
there.
the prison. Oh, there was a
Mm.
funny scene where she went and this young lady was like she asked the person at like the front desk or whatever and she was like she showed her mom's picture from like the 60s and was like, do you know this woman? And she was like, I literally
Do I
wasn't
look?
even born.
Yeah.
What do you
It's
mean,
like,
do
do
you
I
know this
look like I know
woman?
her? Yeah.
Yeah. And then she was like I literally came from Canada. Please help me. Like who would have been there at that time? And I think that's how she was led to
Yeah.
the janitor. That
Yeah.
eventually was like, I do. I do recall all the things, all the
Mhm.
sounds.
No,
Yes.
I think he denied it initially. He was like, I don't know. She was like, "Hey, did you ever work at blah 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 prison?" He was like, "Nope, I've been a janitor all my life. Don't know what you're talking about." And
It's
then
true.
yeah, and then she was like, "Please, I'm trying to, find about my mom. Her name is Nawal Marwan." And he just turned around and he was like, "The woman who sings?" And she was like, "Come again?"
Hmm.
And he's like,
The
"The woman who
woman
sings,
who
who
sings.
sings."
You know what it
Wow,
was
that was
giving to
kind of deep.
me?
Oh my god, is
Uh,
it? Wait, who? Say.
wait.
It's
Is
giving
it
from the
Avatar?
what's it called? No.
What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say the Hunter Games, the Hunger Games, not the
That's
Hunger
it.
Games.
That actually makes so much sense.
Okay.
That actually was a good one. That's a good one. No, for me, I
Okay.
was thinking it's giving the painted lady from Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Oh, I don't remember. What is it, Korra
Remember,
or
it was
the
like
actual?
Katara. Oh, it was
Okay.
like a spirit. Was it a spirit or was it Katara? But anyways, it's both actually. It was a spirit, but also Katara was like the painted lady. It was like would bring food and all that kind of stuff to this poor village.
Oh, I don't recall that.
Like an
You
anonymous.
know what
Anyways,
that
no, but
means?
your example makes a lot more sense than
Okay,
my
I literally was
example.
like Avatar.
No, your example is good. Your
Okay,
example
okay,
is
okay.
good. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, anywho, so basically this guy is like, Nawal Marwan. I'll never forget her. I was in charge of overseeing her cell, and he said they tried to break her. Like they tried to mentally destroy her, but that woman would just keep singing and loud, and she would not be broken. They tried and tried for years and years and years, and finally, wait, what the
Who
wait.
told us about that part? What perspective
No,
did
so
it
this is
tell
what I'm gonna say. Finally, Abu Tariq, Abu Tariq, came, and the daughter was like, Abu Tariq, who's that? She was like, he was a master. Like he was like, you don't want to know
torture?
who he is. No, he was like, you don't want to know, and she's like, no, who is he?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
He was like,
He was
you don't need
like,
to know.
trusts.
You don't
Don't
want to know
open
who.
this box. Yeah.
Yeah. And she was like, no, who was Avatar? He's like, he was a master torturer. And, once they tried for years and years and she wouldn't break, they brought him and he destroyed her. And she was like, what? So the guy's narrating and he was like, I don't think I want it. She was like, no, please tell me everything. And he was like, basically he would just like take her to a room and he would rape her repeatedly and repeatedly and repeatedly until she fell pregnant one day, and she was pregnant and she gave babies. She had twins.
Pause. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, this is a good time to reflect on the acting quality of this film.
Wow.
Wow, especially Jean. All of them,
My goodness.
honestly.
Yeah.
Incredible acting.
Wow.
No words. Jean said nothing. No big emotion, no big reactions.
Yeah.
Silence, but her face says everything. No, not even movement. She's just staring, but her face it just eats you up inside. Wow, no, the acting was like half of this movie.
Yeah.
You know, like the
Absolutely.
plot on its own, don't even get me started. And then there's the way that it was revealed through the actors, and obviously the direction also. Wow. No, this film,
Yeah.
it's not just the plots.
No, it's
It's
very
the way
yes.
it was told as
It's
well.
an interesting one. Yeah. Okay, you want to
Anyways,
continue?
I have thoughts, but let's finish the plot
Okay.
and we'll come back. But yeah, so if the audience members, if you guys are not following, she gave birth to twins.
Simone a Jean
Jean. See. We.
in prison, in like
In
high,
prison.
yes, maximum security prison after she killed, this propaganda leader. Anywho's continue.
This point, I want to say she called Simone and she
She
was
did
like, "Get your butt over
over here
here,
ASAP. No
ASAP."
rocking.
And he does, and he
Yeah.
does. Um, and so
So he comes
essentially,
with the
the
mom's
notary
boss.
dude, yeah,
He was like, I will be there for you and I will help you.
yes.
Yes.
And so essentially, Jean is like, where are the babies? Where are the babies? And then he points her to a nurse. But before we get there, it was so tough to see Nawal in prison struggling with the fact that she's pregnant with the children of a torturer, and she was really struggling with it. It's just clear. Like she's like, I
Yeah.
don't know if I want these babies.
He actually broke her. Yeah.
Yeah, let's just leave it as she was really struggling with it,
She was. Yeah.
and it was heartbreaking, especially because we've been rooting for her. We've just been seeing her resilience throughout, and then suddenly, she's like harming herself, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh my god.
She did not want to have those babies. Like
She did not want to have those babies, but
she
she
was
did have those
hurting
babies.
herself, but
She
she
was
ended up
hurting
having them.
herself. She did end up
And
having
it was
them.
an emotional birth scene for sure.
It
Because she's like,
was.
it
Twas, twas,
was.
twas.
She's like, they're still my babies, but also they're born not out of love. You know what I'm saying?
Very true. On top of that, the plan is to throw the babies in the river. That's what
Yes.
happens. It's part of the
By
torture.
by the
And it's not
prison.
like the torturer wants them babies.
Yeah.
So essentially, the nurse and the dude that worked at the prison went to, same nights that they were born, went to the river. It was like pitch black. And then the nurse, little did do we know that the nurse was actually Muslim.
Mhm.
And so essentially, and and then the nurse knows exactly what Nawal did
Nawal.
for them. And so she tells the guard, she says, let's just say you threw them in the water. She's like, I'll take them. Let's just say it's done. Like, let's forget this happened.
Like, do this one thing for me. Nobody
Yeah,
will
she's
ever
like,
know they did
the
this.
babies are in the water. Let's move on. And surprisingly, he was like, period. And
Mhm.
he said, okay. So the wait, how did Noel leave prison?
I think
Her
she
time was
finishes.
up.
I mean, no, once she has the babies, so basically, the guy she was serving was like, "I will take care of you after this happens. Like, I got you, blah blah blah. Like, I will set you up, etc." But I think I want to take it back to
Okay.
Simone and Jean for a quick
Okay.
second. So basically, Jean is like losing her mind, and they connect with Simone, and she tells Simone everything, and they're both just like very, actually very, very intense sibling moment. They're just like understanding. They're like, wow, our mother went through that, which is insane on its own, but also we are born not out of pleasant circumstances. And there's like a certain way. I feel like they moved past that a little too, because knowing that's it literally shifts the way you see yourself somehow.
Yeah.
Not that you have any hand in the matter, but it's just like I'm a result of torture
For real. And that
done
really
to my mother.
confused me
Yeah.
because I was like, when she died, she
Mhm.
said, give this, one of the letters said, give it to your father.
Yeah.
I was like,
Like, why would she want?
why would you send your children on a quest to
To,
find
yes.
a torturer
Yes.
halfway across the world? I was like, what the hell is
No,
going
I was
on?
also like, why is she trying to? I was like, they're right. She is crazy. Why would she send them there? No, literally, I was like, this is not normal.
Gaining from this.
No,
Nobody's
literally, I was like,
gaining.
why would
Yeah.
she do this?
Yeah.
Um, Anywho's still confusing. Honestly, I don't know. They could have lived without that information, but I think it's more
It
about
is. Let's keep it pushing. Let's keep it
yeah.
pushing. Yeah.
But anywho's, basically they're kind of grieving. They're in this hotel room, so now that they know who the father is, they're also kind of looking for the brother and this what's it called, the attorney or whatever. He's like, I know people from Lebanon, like colleagues, etc. So he's leveraging his network to find the dad and the brother. And there's the guy that the attorney knows. It's like, hey, yeah, look, so basically there's um I was able to source your brother's name. He was part of the orphanage when your mother was living around that area, so I think this is him. But this, like, what's it called, who's the guy, this
What?
little local gang leader or whatever, he was destroying the orphanages. So, you have to go ask him. And Jean and Simone are like, how's he gonna remember? That was like a very, like, literally decades ago. And he's like, they always remember.
Yeah.
They never
But they
forget.
also had his first name at this point.
They didn't
Remember?
have his first name. Yeah, they were like, when the mother gave him away, his name was like Ibn
I
al Walid.
actually thought this was so interesting the way that they found his name. So basically, all they knew was I think they knew the month and the year that he was born,
Yeah.
but he didn't have a name,
No,
obviously.
he had a first
Like,
name. He just didn't have a surname because they didn't
no,
want to give
they gave
the.
him a name there, but his nobody named him.
No, no, he. I think
Who
when
named
he went
him?
to the orphanage, okay, the mom didn't name him.
The orphanage named him or whatever.
Oh, really? They gave him the his actual name?
I don't who would have named him? Nobody. I don't think anybody named him. He
Oh,
was
okay.
like a
That is a
baby.
very good point. Because I thought he came in with
Yeah.
a name, but he didn't have a surname because,
No,
because of
because
the dad.
the way that they found his name was he was the only baby given in the month of May
Mm. So his name was
of
like
that
blah blah
year.
blah of the month of May.
Yeah,
Like
it's
that
like
was his last.
Minamin of May.
Yeah,
X
yeah,
of May, yeah. What was the
correct.
name? Niham? Nisam?
Something like that. Yeah,
I forgot what she
I don't
named him.
remember honestly. So basically, they're on a quest to do that, and while they're doing that, it kind of goes back in time to the kid, and um, so just goes to this like scene where these kids are coming, and you can clearly tell they're trying to avoid any kind of shooters in the area, so they're hiding behind like cars. They're literally preteens. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think any of them are actual teenagers yet. They're just checking for any guns or etc. And as
At this
they're
point, as an audience member, you
yeah,
think I want to say Niham. Anyways, I'll
yeah,
find it.
yeah,
But you'd think that
that
Noah's
was
son is one of these kids running
exactly.
around, right?
Yeah,
Because like, who are these children? Like
literally,
we're
yeah,
3 quarters through the movie, and so you think they're one of them because it's like an abandoned place. So they're clearly looking for a sniper because they're like
exactly.
hiding behind cars. It's like an abandoned city. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
keep going.
Yeah, and one of the kids just mistakenly doesn't follow the lead, and you know, he prematurely just leaves the hidden area, and he gets shot. And the kids are just like panicking. They're like, "Oh my god, where'd he go?" And the camera goes to the sniper, and it shows, and you're like, this little kid. He's literally maybe like 9 or 8 or something.
Literally, expert marksman.
An expert marksman, and he has little 3 dots on his right heel.
Dun, dun. His name is Nihad.
His name is Nihat. Wow.
Yes, Nihad of me. Yep.
Anywho's, so we find out, yeah, that the kid survived, so he didn't die, and he is out
Yes.
there somewhere.
Because if you guys recall at the very beginning,
Mhm.
when Noah was looking for her son at the girls' orphanage, they said that she was told many of them are dead, the rest were taken.
Mhm.
Whereas when she got there was a dude, an old man, that was like they're all dead.
They're all dead. Yes,
Yeah.
correct.
So clearly he was one of the ones that were taken.
Yes.
Yes.
Um, and so basically, it goes back to Jean and Simone, and so they go to this little what's his name? This little area disruptor guy, whatever, the one who supposedly killed all the kids from the orphanage. And
Yeah, so like the notary's connections connection
yeah,
told him that I know the dude that, you know, did this. Like,
hmm,
because it was the Muslims that took over that orphanage or whatever, took the kids, right? And so he was like, that dude, that leader is still alive. He will probably know Nihad of May.
yeah,
And so it was such a cryptic way of like trying to get in contact with him. Like
yeah,
he had to go somewhere, sit at a coffee shop, and then they saw him and they followed him back home, and then they went to the hotel and they were like, okay, come, he wants to see you. And they had to like blindfold him and all that kind of stuff because he is
yeah,
still a rebel leader.
yes.
So they took him.
So they just took Simone, by the way,
Only Simone,
cause
yeah.
yeah, cause they only contacted Simone. They're like, hey, can you follow us? And he's like, can I bring my sister? And they're like, no, just you. So Simone, being Simone, he calls the Lebanese guy who's his point of contact, and he's like, hey, am I safe? He's like, yeah, just go. Like, you're gonna be okay. So, anyways, like Mary said, he gets blindfolded, etc., and goes to the rebel leader's spot.
That's true. And so essentially, he makes it. They let him take off his blindfolds, and then we actually encounter, bro, correct me if I'm wrong, it's
Mm,
the same dude that helped Noel out of the country, right? Or is it a different
is
dude?
it? I wasn't sure. Like, I
I
don't.
think it's the same dude.
I feel like yeah, because I'm like maybe
It's the same
I'm
dude.
sure he was
Same
there
dude.
before. Okay, okay,
Same
okay.
dude. So he's a lot older now, obviously. But he basically told him that he was like, what do you want? Who are you, etc. And he was like, I'm Noel's son. And something clicks in that man. And then he said, I'm also looking for Nihad of May.
Yeah.
So he's like, okay, let me tell you the story. I mean, he was very sympathetic about it. Like, he
Mhm.
wasn't like, get out of my face. He was like,
Yeah.
he was captured. We trained him. He was a great little soldier.
No, he was like he was the best sniper
Yes.
that we ever had. He was
Yes.
dangerous at the age of
As a youngling.
12 or something. Yeah.
Yes. I think it literally was 12.
He was like
As a
he's a
youngling.
prodigy. He was a prodigy. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, he did say that. And he essentially, still when he was still young, I feel like he was probably like very, very early 20s. He was kind of like, when I think when things settled down a little bit per se, or like he decided to look for his mom. And he knew that he knew the circumstance, and he looked and he looked and he looked, and he couldn't find her, and that broke him. And I think he went back to the mom's village, and then he obviously met all the negativity that Jean met even decades later, and the abandonment with all the past issues with the fact
Mhm.
that he's an orphan. It was just a really, really bad storm, and he literally grew up a sniper. He went really dark. He was a complete monster. For those that watched the Vampire Diaries, his humanity was turned off.
Okay.
And so basically,
Spoiler
he said that he was um, he, am I gonna say it?
So basically, he was saying, right? He's like, yeah, he basically went crazy. So after a bit,
I think we
the
just have to say it, bro.
no, the military recruits him, to be a torturer at this military prison, and he later on changed his name to Abu Tariq. And
Yes.
Simone is like, "Excusez-moi, what did you just say?"
Yes.
He's like, "Yeah." So he became the torturer known as Abu Tariq.
Yes.
Abu
And then
Tariq.
I think it kind of cuts there,
Yeah.
and Simone travels back to the hotel and
Okay,
reunites with
so
Jean, right?
a little context here. Jean is like this very genius, like like she's a physicist or something. So
Yes.
she's a
She's a
numbers girl.
mathematician. She like
Yeah.
teaches pure math
Okay. Yeah.
at a university in Canada.
Mhm.
And it
Yeah.
was even like her, like I think I think she's trying to study for another degree, and so she's like a maybe a GRA, or maybe she's doing her PhD or whatever.
Mhm.
And it was her mentor that was like, "You're a mathematician. You need to solve this equation."
Yes.
And he's the one that sent her, that encouraged her to go to Lebanon and gave
Yes.
her a starting point and everything. So now we're back in the little hotel room. The twins are reunited. Simon is like dazed,
Silence.
phased.
And Jean is like
Actually,
leaving the show or something, right?
it's the same thing
As
that
the mom,
happened to his mother. He was, but
he was fat.
he was sat. His eyes were locked in on something. He was just unavailable. Really, he was just not there.
Hmm.
And then John was like, "What's up, bro? What's going
Yeah.
on?
Like,
Like,
so how did it go?
what
Like,
happened?
any
Tell me."
deeper
Because
there?
she
Yeah.
was like not allowed to go there to
Yeah.
that meeting.
And then Simone is like, Jean, how is one plus one one? And she's like, what? He's like, one plus one should be two, right? Why is one plus one one? And Jean is just looking at him. For a second, she just looks at him for like a good 5 seconds with confusion. And she's
He
like,
says it so many times, and as an audience member,
yeah,
I was also like,
yeah,
one plus one
what?
equals two,
Yeah, and like, what are
right?
you, why
Yeah.
is it one? And Jean,
And then
when it clicked, So basically, Abu Tariq, the torturer, and their brother is their father. He is the one that was torturing their mom, Nawal, and impregnate, imper, impregnated
Like,
her. And their brother is also their dad. Yo, yo, bro. Guys, we watched this movie a few days ago. Think about it on the daily. Like, it's actually insane. Wow.
It's true. And then essentially, yeah. So when Jean actually figured out, she let it in a whole like it
Yeah.
was really really dramatic. It was so good.
Yeah.
At that point, okay, let me explain my perspective.
Mhm.
At that point, so I did watch this film with my parents. Okay, so we were like, oh my god, what happened? What happened? What happened? And then as the next scene was still unfolding, like I didn't even get there yet. We were like, did this happen? Did that happen? Like we were going back and forth, and then I was like, wait, is the brother the father? And we were like, oh my god, it could be, but like probably not. And then we went back to the TV. And so we kept anyway, so let's wrap up the plot, right? So
Yeah.
essentially we go back to present, not present, like whatever, present time. We're back at the swimming pool, but this time it's like a couple minutes earlier where their mother Noelle was actually swimming. She leaves the swimming pool. She's
No,
about
it's
to leave the swimming pool.
like she went in normal. She was talking, she was
Yeah, she
being
was a normal
chatty
person.
with John.
Yeah.
She was like, "Yeah, please don't put your towel here, blah blah blah," like being a mom, you know. Yeah.
Yes. And Jean is also swimming.
Mhm.
And then as oh wait, we forgot to say that this Muslim leader also right after she was released from prison, he said, we want to thank you for all that you've done, all the time that you've served,
Mhm.
everything that you've done for us. I want to take care of you. I actually have your babies because she was under the impression that her babies were dead.
Yeah.
And she didn't even know if she wanted them or not. And he was like,
Yeah.
trust me, they're the ones that are going to get you through this.
Mhm.
So he sent her and her twins to Canada. And she never looked back. And so again, she's swimming, 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 about to leave the pool, and then she's right about to leave. So eye level is kind of where people's feet are, right? Because she's about to like hoist herself up, and then she sees a male leg, a male heel, with three tattooed dots, just like her long lost son.
And she's like, "Oh my god, is
She's
this
like,
is this happening?"
what are the odds? Like it
Yeah.
has to be him. So she climbs her way out of the pool. She taps him, and then the guy that turns around is Abu Tariq.
And he doesn't even recognize her.
He does not recognize. He's like, "What do you want, lady?"
Yeah.
Energy, and she's like, she knew
Oh
it was her
my.
son before she left the pool,
Yeah.
and then when he turned, she was
She
like,
meets
"My
the father of
son
her
is
children.
also Abu Tariq."
That's literally what killed her, guys. Isn't that insane?
And
That's
then
literally
she
what killed
walked. She
her.
went back to her seat. She sat down,
She
and
didn't
that
move.
was the conclusion of her life.
Wow.
The shock of her life. It and it ended her life.
That was crazy, bro. That was.
So as audience members, that was the thing that like made it very clear for us, because not every not no maybe some audience members, but
Mhm.
I don't know, there I feel like there were a large proportion of audience members that wasn't 100% sure what was going on with the whole 1+1 thing going on.
Yeah. No, I also.
Yeah.
I literally was like, okay, that's your dad.
Okay,
Why?
let me say something that I wanted to say. I just wanted
Mm.
us to get the thing out of the way. When I was watching it the first time, when she was in jail, when Noah was in jail, and then um the Abu Tariq came, like first walked in, I was like, that guy is so young. Seriously, I said that out
No
loud. I
way.
was like, a master torture. Wouldn't you expect an old man like a master
Yeah,
torturer?
yeah,
And who enjoys? This is kind of it's a harsh thing to say, right? Who enjoys raping old like an older lady?
yeah, yeah,
You would think it's like usually it's some gross old man that's raping anybody. You
yeah,
know what I mean? And I was like, this young guy, seriously? It did not go to her child for me.
yeah.
That's not what. But I was like, this is weird. I was like, this man being a master torturer, there's something going on here. But I would never would have thought that that was her child.
I thought the attorney's little Lebanese, guy was kind of the brother. I thought he was just playing with them because he's a bit
Oh,
older.
really?
Yeah, I was like, oh my god, is he just like playing in circles? Like, I don't know. Abu Tariq? Oh my goodness.
It was so shocking. And essentially, they informed the notary, all the pieces have been solved. The children go back to Canada and they serve him both letters because he is their
Yeah.
brother and he is their father. And I think he's where does he work? It's like a
He,
blue collar job.
he's like he cleans buses or something.
Yeah, he cleans buses, yeah.
Yeah.
And they caught him right outside his apartment and then they were like, this is for you. And they really looked him in the eye. Like, I don't know if I
If I
would
could do that.
want
Yeah.
to meet him, like if I want to see him.
That was
But
crazy.
they
They looked
did.
him in the eye and
They
they were
both
like,
went together. They looked him in the eye, and he was like, "What do you want?" And then they're just like, "Just take this." And then by the time he looked back, they were kind of gone
yeah.
because I think he went looking for them. Like he went outside, and I think it's because he realized that it was just the father one. I think that he read at that point.
So there's one to the father and one to the brother.
Yeah.
So the
It,
brother is like, my son, I love you. You are made of love, and like, I've been searching for you my entire life. And then yeah, he, like Mary said, he goes to look for them, and then he opens the one to the father, and it's also
no, it
very
was the
amazing.
father first.
I think it was like to the brother first. Was it
It was
not?
the father first because he was like, because he saw like the rapist allegations, and he was like, and then remember the way she
No.
signed it at the end. She was like, whore number seven or something like that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then the second time she was like prisoner number seven.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. And so when he saw the allegations, he was like, oh my gosh, are they here to cause trouble?
Yeah,
And then he finished it, and then he read the other one, and he was like, those are my siblings.
crazy. And also his kids.
Children. Anyway, so the notary guy gives them the rest of the documents, and it's a letter to them, like now that you know everything, and it was just really sweet. Honestly, she like for Abu Tariq slash Nahid, positive. I mean, she was like, I. It's kind of like we're all in like it's all consequences of the war kind of thing. You know what I mean? And so it was like you know, again, you were born out of love, etc., etc. But then, this happened, and I've been looking for you, and I know you've been looking. Actually, she didn't know that he's been looking for her, but she's like, I tried. And then from the father perspective, she was like, to some degree, she does forgive him. So there's that as well.
And also there's the part where she's like, to the kids, she's like, now that you know everything, you can put a gravestone on my
Yes.
grave, and bury me properly and have a ceremony and whatever you want.
Yeah, because they fulfilled everything. And so they did. And then the closing scene, the last shot was Abu Tariq slash Nahid at Nawal's gravestone. And so that was surprising to me. He still sought her out as the
As the mother.
father and as her son.
I think
He
it's
went and visited
more
her.
as
And not
like,
as her father, as the father of her children and as her son. I think it was more as a son.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, but the fact that he tortured her like that, I don't. I'm shocked that he decided to go and face her. To be honest, but
I I think it's interesting because when he was visiting the grave, it was just like when he didn't know what hit him. He was just like, what is happening right now? And there's just like a sense of like anger toward when you're feeling so many emotions that like your face is blank, if that makes sense.
hmm
You're overwhelmed by so many strong emotions. Like that's kind of what I got. He's like, I've been searching for you my entire life, but I hurt you more than anybody could ever hurt you, and not in a sense of like tortured you.
he's not okay in the
He
head.
Yeah,
So it's kind of hard to
yeah,
evaluate him as a normal dude.
yes,
I don't think a normal dude would have gone to her grave, is what I'm saying.
yeah.
And a normal dude doesn't rape people either.
That's
So
so
I'm
true.
like, is he like he's a literal master torturer that fled the country? I don't. He went. I don't know. I don't know what he feels. I would love to know what he felt.
Yeah, right? Like I just want to be in his head for like 5 seconds and just
Is the little kid still in there? I don't know.
yeah.
I don't know which version went.
Mm,
I feel like there's no kid left, but maybe there's a little bit left. I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah.
That ending was that was on Sunday the
Wow.
most
Plot twist central.
like the most interesting plot twist to ever plot twist. Oh
Heavy
my
one. Heavy one.
oh my goodness.
And just learning about how complicated war is,
Mm-hmm.
and honestly, even the history.
Yeah,
You
100%.
know,
Yeah. You
opened
learn
my
a lot.
eyes.
It
Yes.
was really
What a
eye-opening.
film. Oh my.
I guess we can rate it
We should rate it. I did.
out of
Oh yeah,
100.
let's rate it. I mean,
100?
it's. I mean, I don't have notes for
Yeah.
this movie. Do I?
Okay, I think I have my rating.
I actually. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. Okay.
Are you
Three.
ready?
Yeah.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
93.
96.
Okay. Okay. Love,
Okay,
love,
close,
love, love,
close,
love.
close. Yeah,
Okay. Okay. That's good.
it's
That's
so good.
literally an A.
It's
It's a good
literally an
movie.
A.
Yeah. It's
Big
a
A,
good
big
movie.
A.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Overall,
Um,
I think, for this episode, we're good. I feel like we're good. We don't need to expand on any of the points,
I'm,
if you
I'm with
agree,
you.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But an amazing watch, you guys. 100% recommend not watching it just once, but twice, maybe, a third time.
I do plan on rewatching.
Yeah,
Like if I just didn't
100%.
have the time this week, but
Yeah,
I was going to, I just
yeah.
haven't because I watched it last week.
Mm-hmm.
I will be rewatching.
Yes.
Even knowing the plot twist. Oh my,
Mm-hmm.
it's just this because the storytelling is half of it here. It's so good.
So good.
We recommend.
Definitely recommend watching it. It's free on Tubi for anybody who wants to watch.
Indeed, indeed.
So
This was
very,
my first
very
Tubi
good.
movie. Hashtag Tubi. Love Tubi.
I know. Um, but this was it for episode 5.
You're,
Hope
you're, you're.
you guys enjoyed this episode, and think the next movie is probably going to be something more lights.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's it for now. Until next time, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ciao.